Hello, friends. Welcome to another Word of Gord. Tonight I'm going to be doing another in my small series of movie reviews. I feel compelled to comment on all movies that I discover that are about, or pretend to be about, the afterlife. Now, most of them are quite good. Reviewed Hereafter some time ago, and that was a fine production with a lot of relevant points to make. And The Lovely Bones, I reviewed that a while ago, and it was also a strong feature. Had much to recommend it. Now, very recently, just in the last few days, I discovered a movie listed on my library catalogue as a new inductee to the library system. A Portuguese production, a Brazilian production in Portuguese, I should say. And it's called The Astral City. Now, this film is developed from a channeled work done by a well-known in Brazil, well-known Brazilian medium who channeled many books in his lifetime, but appears not to be that well known outside of his native tongue. I had heard of him because the book The Astral City is featured on a site called spiritswritings.com, which has many old channeled and otherwise received books about the various levels of the afterlife. Most of them are books that are, 80 to 150 years old, and the copyright has lapsed, I suspect, and that's why they're there. Some of them are a little, fusty and old-fashioned, but a number of them are well worth reading, and I would certainly direct you to that site if you're interested. Now, this movie, The Astral City, which I'd seen the text on that internet site a number of years ago and glanced at, although I didn't read the whole thing, is an interesting addition to the accumulation we're getting of films about the spirit world. And it's a fine addition, and I highly recommend it to you. I don't know if we'll see a theatrical release. It doesn't look like it. Looks like the Brazilian theatrical release was in maybe 2010, and the DVD has been out here for perhaps a few months. So I would suggest looking in your more better quality video stores. Perhaps Netflix has it, my library has it, perhaps your library has it. Anyway, it's, as I say, it's a fine addition to the small but growing library we have of films about the astral plane. And interestingly enough, some of the post-production work was done here in Toronto. A lot of the special effects of the astral plane landscapes were done there by what looks like a fairly large staff. And there's some funny scenes on the extras, the DVD extras, of the Brazilian people coping with minus 20 degrees and snow in Toronto one winter. I'm sure it was a deep shock for them. It is for us, and we live here. So there was an interesting Canadian connection for me, as I live right here. And also, I should mention, my own first book, Eternal Life and How to Enjoy It, has a Portuguese translation, which was published in Sao Paulo in Brazil a number of years ago. So I have another interesting connection through that. Now, the film portrays the death, afterlife, and spiritual education of a Brazilian doctor, an upper middle class man, who has a life of service, but also a life of privilege. And when he passes through what looks like a sudden heart attack of some kind, he basically falls over at dinner one night. He finds himself in one of the lower astral planes, which, if you've read any of my books or followed any of my talks at all, you'll know are not pleasant places. The hell realms and the purgatorial realms are not where you'd want to be, I can assure you. But they're there. And they're not just for, how shall I say, sinners according to the rule books of all the major religions. The rules aren't quite that strict. You have to be rather filled with negativity, the negativity of anger, jealousy, resentment, ethnic hatred, cruelty, lust, and I mean lust in its worst form. I don't mean how you feel about your lover when you're about to go to bed. Serious lust, cruel lust, selfish lust, ambition that is ruthless and will beat back all in its way. That sort of thing. I think you get my meaning. But the film's portrayal of the purgatorial and hell realms, which they call umbral, I believe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is, riveting in its unpleasantness and accurate. And it portrays the one's release from those realms as a form of prayer, as a form of please help me get out of here, which is essentially what happens. Retrievers come and get you, and they will come if they feel your need, if they feel your intense need to get out of there, and a sense that you will be something of a reformed being. All of which is accurate in my experience as a retriever. I have been to those places, not exactly like Umbral, but not that much different either. And I have worked with desperate souls in those sad and tormented places. Now, the Astral City, is represented in this movie, is one of the reception center areas that are around the planet, above all the geographical areas, that receive souls on their first transit from the realms of death, shall we say. So there is very specific astral plane location portrayed. So what you will see there is a reality for those astral plane reception centers. They are transit areas, and they are busy places. And you will see that in the movie. Souls are constantly coming and going. The greater, in terms of population, astral areas lie beyond that, what the spiritualists call the summer land. And one of the residents, the doctor who has died of a heart attack, who's in this astral plane reception area city, does get a visitor from a higher realm. But that higher realm is not represented. And this is somewhat of a staple of spiritualist literature, visitors from the higher realms. But I would have you understand that the higher realms are not as remote as they might seem from this film. Many millions of people between one life and another live there. The level that you see represented in this film is a sort of entry level. And I don't say that to disparage it, merely to define it for you. So also, let me see, the process of acceptance of one's death, acceptance of one's new state in this entry-level astral city, and the desire to return, the desire to reincarnate, are all represented well and accurately to my mind. And I would urge you to try and track down this film. I keep looking at it; it's still sitting there, and have a look for yourself. There's, I believe, the trailer is on YouTube, and perhaps more segments than just the trailer. Um, so, if you're interested in these matters, and you wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't, it's certainly something I would recommend. It's a movie made with great dedication and sincerity and a desire to communicate spiritual truths. Now, it falls short in some areas, but then you can't get all of the spirit realms into one film. It's way too complicated. It's like trying to make a travel documentary about Paris, Amsterdam, London, Vienna, Berlin, Tokyo, New York, and Los Angeles. It can't be all squeezed into the one film. There's just too much. The astral plane is that complicated, is that multi-layered. But what they do represent, they do well, and they do accurately, in my humble opinion. So applause to them, applause to all the Brazilians who worked so hard on this film, and the Toronto people who did all the fine post-production work. God bless them all for doing their darndest. I salute you, and God bless you all. And God bless all of you who track the movie down and watch it. So long for now, friends.